All right, happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to another fabulous edition of the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce Chamber Chat, presented by Bose, McKinney, and Evans. We have a couple very special guests today, and to introduce our special guests, Alan Becker, board member of the Greater Lawrence Chamber, as well as works with Bose, McKinney, and Evans, who's here to introduce our guests. Take it away, Alan.
Thank you, Brad. I wanted to highlight today, I guess, before we introduce our guests, for a minute, our hospitality group that does a lot of alcoholic beverage and other permitting issues, deals with employment issues, the usual range of contracting, real estate, construction, and other business and development issues relating to hotels and restaurants and other hospitality industries. And if anybody has any need for that, you're welcome to get in contact with me, and I can put you in contact with the people you need to talk to. Our guests today are Caleb Hill and Glen Brooks. Caleb owns a Culvers restaurant in Lawrence and is going to build a second one, I understand, in Cumberland. And Glen works for General Hotels. And so they are, together with Caleb's father, developing a new True by Hilton hotel in the heart of the Fort Harrison Commercial District. So without further ado, I will hand it back to you, Brad, and to our guests.
Thank you very much, Alan. So, gentlemen, welcome. As we talked a little bit before we got started here, today we just want to talk about hotels and hospitality. Have you guys introduced yourselves, what projects you're working on, and then here after 10 or 15 minutes, I'll ask questions and we'll take questions from the audience, and yeah, we'll just be talking business. So I don't know who wants to start, but one of you can take it away.
All right, I'll go and Glenn can follow me up. I'm Caleb Hill. As mentioned, I own the Culvers restaurant in Lawrence there. And my dad has a construction company, Hillcrest Development, and we mostly build hotels all over the United States. But we had our eyes set on Lawrence for about 5 years. We've been trying to work on a deal to bring a hotel to the city of Lawrence. Finally made it a reality. We're breaking ground here. So I am helping oversee some of the construction. And once it gets open and operating, General Hotels, which is Glen's group, is going to be of the hotel and taking it from there. So I guess I'll hand it off to you, Glenn. You can talk a little bit.
Okay, thanks, Caleb. Excuse me. So I'm trying to get my voice. I'm Glen Brooks. I'm an executive vice president for General Hotel Corporation. And I think we should start there before I get into the hotel, because we're a 60-year-old Indianapolis hotel company.
Actually, John Dory
Kind of been a community-oriented hotel company for a long time. Now we've got all these big hotels downtown, but before all that ever started, General Hotels had hotels all over the city. So Lawrence is an area that we have had our eye on for a while too. We've been talking to Caleb about it for a while. We're excited about it. We actually thought we had something going several years ago. It didn't quite click. So again, we're a local company, which is a really good thing. So we're invested in the community. So for this particular hotel, I'll just get into a few different things. First of all, we're very grateful to Caleb and his father, Al, because they were really the instigators of this whole thing. We knew all along we were going to partner with them, but they've built a lot of hotels. And so we're just really excited about this partnership. And like Caleb said, we're going to manage the hotel. We're going to, as they build it, when we get closer to the opening, we're going to do things ahead of time also. But first of all, we know it's a True by Hilton, which is a fairly new Hilton branded hotel. And we're excited about that because everybody's familiar with Hampton Inns by Hilton. Hilton, that's been their bread and butter for years. They've built so many of them all over the place. I would say, I don't know, in the last 5 years, they've come up with this True brand, which is very similar to Hampton. It's a little more millennial driven, more colorful, more with the times. So it's a very exciting brand to have. And I think it's the brand that Hilton has that it's growing more than any other of their brands. we're just excited about Hilton in general because our company, for example, we're involved in 60 different hotels. We've got Marriott's, Hilton's, Holiday Inns, and it goes on and on. We love the Hilton brand. It's just got a great reputation. So we're excited about that. So what does it mean to be in the Lawrence community? We've been wanting to be there for a long time. There, as you probably know, I mean, it's underserved with hotels. And as the general area where the hotel is going to be in has grown more, there's just more and more infrastructure. So it was probably good that now's the time. There's a lot of things happening. So we're excited about that. So I know that everybody who's listening is going to be fairly local. So I do want to say we can use all of your help because it's word of mouth and that sort of thing that really helps the hotel. So let me give you an example of what I mean by that. In our world, we kind of break it down by weekday business and weekend business. And on the weekends, a lot of it is youth sport oriented. And obviously we have those great soccer fields. We have a lot of wedding venues that aren't too far away. Those sorts of things really help drive weekends, as well as just leisure travel in general. But we're really looking forward to those driving the hotel. And then crazy as it is, as far away as Grand Park is, Grand Park comes up with such large tournaments as well that we're probably going to get a little business from there as well. But any sort of leisure business out there that we can push our way would definitely be greatly appreciated. I feel very confident with the leisure side of business for this hotel. Again, because of what we call demand generators, a lot of it being soccer, but other youth sports as well. Then you have weekday business. And of course we have DFAS very close to the hotel. Our company, General Hotels, has the Homewood Suites by Keystone at the Crossing. And we've had that hotel a long time. Because there hasn't been a good hotel in the Lawrence area, that Homewood Suites has received a lot of business through the years from DFAS. So we know that that is also what we call a demand generator, and we're looking forward to that. And then where we really need help, though, is other local weekday business. So again, just putting that message out there. So what does it look like when we take over the hotel? Somewhere between 3 and 6 months prior to the hotel opening, as construction's getting underway, we have teams that do various things. On the sales side, we start getting involved and we start calling on the local community, putting flyers out, all kinds of things to get people prepped for the hotel, as opposed to waiting for the doors to open and then you start. Because sometimes you just need to get people thinking ahead of time. So we do it, and we have teams that we bring in. We call it blitzing, sales blitzes. Pre-COVID, we were going door to door to do that. We'll have to see what happens, what the world's like. When we get closer to the opening of this, that's going to be interesting in itself because, again, we're very used to face-to-face sort of things, which actually leads me to my next thing is when we open a hotel, we always do a big grand opening celebration. But it's interesting because of COVID, we just opened a hotel at the airport 2 weeks ago, a Town Place Suites by Marriott, and we could not do our normal celebration because you just can't have people that close to each other. So we did do a ribbon cutting and we had the mayor there, but it just had to be very small in size. So we're hoping that with COVID, that by the time we open this hotel, we could really do a nice grand opening. And again, I would imagine a lot of people that are watching this would be part of that. So we do a lot of prep work up front. We also have an operations team prior to opening that gets all the furniture and fixtures in the rooms and gets all the equipment done around the hotel and in the rooms. So there's a lot to it that people really don't realize. So a lot of preparation. And then once we do open, then obviously we turn over and we continue to have a sales effort for the hotel. We're very big on the sales side. We believe in the relationships. We believe in being proactive. So again, I haven't done this. I think Caleb on his side did performance for the hotel. And all these actions that I'm talking about kind of lead to that. I don't know, Caleb, do you think I'm missing anything of any importance here?
No, I think you covered everything pretty good. All the things you mentioned as far as demand generators, when we did our market study, certainly one of our goals is to bring more traffic out to the fort, whether it be the golf course or the state park. You know, they do have their bed and breakfast there, but they're unable to accommodate larger groups for 2-day events or tournaments. So we're going to really try to push for getting a NCAA golf tournament back over there. Maybe some larger events at the park, something where, you know, now that they have a hotel close by, we can really try to drive more people into the Lawrence area, because it's such a gem that we have there with the state park. And of course that in turn, you know, helps the restaurants out. It helps everybody else in the community out when we can get more people staying in Lawrence versus staying up in Castleton or, you know, any other place. So yeah, I agree with everything you said there, Glenn.
Yeah, you know what? Thanks, Caleb. Let me add just a little bit to that. As you're talking, I'm thinking Fort Harrison's a good example, because weddings, I touched on weddings a little bit, but again, weddings are big business. And it's not just from the fort where there might be weddings, but any other, there's a bunch of wedding facilities within, you know, 5 or 6 miles of the hotel. And, you know, when you were past COVID, you know, usually you could have anywhere from 10 to 50 people that come in from out of town for a wedding and they need somewhere to stay. So especially the fort though, but any of these venues. So that's something. So we're excited about that. And then something that I didn't mention, and everything is COVID related here. So prior to COVID, as you know, Indianapolis was a fantastic convention city. And it's going to get back to that once people are comfortable being in large situations. And so, you know, just a year ago, before all this happened, I would say there's probably 6 to 10 conventions a year that, you know, obviously are focused out of downtown, but they need overflow and they go to different parts of the city. I think we probably all heard of FFA, of Gen Con, FDIC, the fire department conference. There's all kinds of big conferences. And so we're going to get some of that out to Lawrence as well. And you know, maybe some of you know this, maybe some of you don't. So this might be a bit of a inside trade secret. I don't think so, but big in our industry is something called revenue management. We're big on that in our company. And what it is behind the scenes. You're pricing every room for every night based on demand. And there's a lot of different channels that people book with. They might book through a brand directly. They might book through Expedia. They might book through a government channel. It goes on and on and on. So a big thing in our industry is how we price all the rooms. And so when we have these big citywides in the city, it just creates a lot of demand in a word we call compression. So it gives us an opportunity to be really smart about how we price the rooms. During conventions, we have the ability to, because it's a supply and demand, so it's an opportunity for the hotel to charge the appropriate price on the higher end because the demand is high. And that's all good because those are the types of things that make the hotel healthy. So we have that kind of thing going on behind the scenes as well. And then just one more thing to throw out at all the people listening, because again, we need our local people to make these types of hotels work. There's a lot of nooks and crannies and a lot of companies that produce room nights that you don't always think about. And again, I would just ask that as the hotel opens, you know, maybe it's something to pay attention to, but it could be something as simple as a new operating system and new computers in your office. And it could be a vendor that comes in from another city to put them in. It could be anything. And there's all kinds of little things like that that come up and you don't think. And so what happens is that all those people that come in, they make their own hotel reservations and they don't really pay a lot of attention about, am I helping the local community or not? So anybody out there that has anything going on where you know there's going to be incoming people for hotels, I think, you know, what a great opportunity to help your local hotel, because we all want it to be successful. So just something to think about that it might not be your traditional person that always comes in where it's very obvious to say, oh, go use the True by Hilton. But there's all kinds of things that produce hotel room nights. So just something to think about there as well.
So, Greg, let me ask you, first, General Hotels, what percentage of the Indianapolis market do you guys control?
Well, before all the big hotels came, we had many hotels in the city and dominated. Obviously, in the last 2 to 3 decades, things have changed a lot. So right now we have the Crown Plaza at Union Station downtown, which is it's attached to Lucas Oil Stadium and the Convention Center. and there's a major wedding facility in there. Union Station is just a gorgeous wedding facility. And then we have the Crown Plaza by Indianapolis Airport. And we have the Homewood Suites Keystone at the Crossing. That's been there over 30 years, and it's been a successful hotel nonstop for all 30 years. And we just opened this Town Place Suites by Marriott at the airport. I think that's all we have in the immediate area. And then we have we have over 20 hotels in the state of Indiana, and then also in all the surrounding states of Indiana. Nice.
So the True brand by Hilton, that was a brand that I was not familiar with until I did until we did a groundbreaking here about a month or so ago, and I did a little research. For everybody who's watching and listening and join us, you said that it's millennial focused. Talk just a little bit about how that hotel is slightly different than traditional hotels and why it's millennial focused. And also is it going to have meeting space and event space?
Yeah, well, I'll kind of go back and forth and work off of Caleb, because I think between the two of us, we're going to know different things. So I'll start. Well, first of all, it's colorful. The lobby is colorful. It's attractive. Like so many hotels in recent times have really been cookie cutter to an extent, and we were okay with that. And hotels progress a little at a time, but millennial travel is a big deal now, and it doesn't mean it's just for millennials. So you get that color spark. Caleb, tell me, I'm not sure in this particular True, but like typically you have a pool table in the lobby, a lot of communal sort of areas. Will that be the case in this one?
Yeah, we'll have that. There'll be games down in the lobby area. There'll be a lot of common area workspaces. There'll be a coffee bar sort of a feel where everybody will have kind of nooks and crannies to work. Kind of the idea with this concept is you really like to stick them in areas where you have some walkability, some kind of like a quasi-urban area where you want to get people out of the room, get them down in the lobby doing something, get them to walk out of the hotel and go find something within the a few blocks to do. So the rooms are a little bit smaller than a Hampton. I mean, they're still very well appointed, but the idea is, most millennials and even younger, the Gen Xers, they don't like sitting in their room and watching TV. They want to leave the room. They want to go walk someplace. They want to feel some energy of the area. So I think the way the infrastructure is building up around that hotel down there, with some of the restaurants and places to go and the Civic Plaza, and I just think there's going to be lots of good reasons for people to walk out of their room and go do something, and really provide a really good experience for people that are wanting to stay there.
Cool. I'd like to take a moment and thank Bose, McKinney, and Evans, LLP, for sponsoring Chamber Chat from the Greater Lawrence Chamber. That is our low-tech commercial.
Thank you.
So, Glenn, I'll ask you first, and then I'll go to Caleb on this. Obviously, the last year has been something, and I think it's more common to hear of a hotel that's closing down as opposed to breaking ground. Tell us a little bit about the challenges you faced and why both of you thought that now is the time to pull the trigger on this.
Yeah, well, you are right. Hotel business has gotten hurt more than most businesses. We're starting to see the beginning of the light at the end of the tunnel. 2020, probably for a lot of businesses, it was hard to really see the light. Even January, our portfolio was down 30% from last January. And last year, I think as an average, hotels were probably down 40 to 50% from the previous year. And that might even be a little generous. So we're actually ahead of our projections for this year, and already in the first couple of days of February, I see that. Now we have a long way to go, but here's the thing. You could see my hair's white, gray, whatever color you want to call it, which means
I call that a unique shade of blonde.
I'm going to use that. But what it means is I've been in the hotel business a long, long time, and all of us that have been through any years of working, you go through your business cycles, and we've all had many economic downturns. Every single economic downturn, and that includes the last one in 2008, that was dubbed the Great Recession. Every single time, there's a lot of chatter about how people are going to do things differently. They're going to do it through video and hotels. What's going to really happen? That's been going on for 30 years, if not more. Every time we have a downturn, somewhere between 1 and 2 years after the downturn starts, and we're already almost a year through this one, every single time the hotel business comes back really strong. And the reason is people need to do business together. I mean, leisure is going to come anyway, because you're going to have those sporting activities and weddings that I talked about. But from a business perspective, people get in front of people. And if they think they're going to save money by doing video, when their competitor goes out and gets in front of clients, they're going to do the same thing. So the timing of this hotel is actually going to be really good. We're going to be on an upswing. It might take a little bit to get a few of the pieces put together, post-COVID, but we're going to be on an upswing. What do you think, Kayla?
Got to unmute myself. Yeah, I agree. I'm very happy that we didn't open last year as we had originally planned with one of our prior arrangements we had. But yeah, I think we're shooting to try to open in the spring of 2022, which is it's a good time to open a hotel anyways, but just with the seasonality of the markets and youth sports firing up and everything that happens Lawrence outdoors, that'll be a good time for us to open. But yeah, I agree with Glenn. I think we're definitely seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We as a developer and a construction company, we really haven't broken stride as far as interest goes for new hotel development. Obviously, the ones that are open, as Glenn mentioned, are struggling, but it's a blip in the long run, and we know it'll come back. What's been, I guess, better about this recession that we haven't seen in some of the prior ones, as the interest rates are so low that it's still feasible to spend $10 million on building a new hotel and still make it pencil out. It helps your break even points and everything like that. So that really gave us some comfort to kind of keep chugging along last spring when this started hitting. We're pretty confident that once we get open, hopefully COVID will be mostly behind us. But we like the market, and we think it'll be a strong performer. So we don't have too much heartburn about building a hotel in this climate right now.
So, Caleb, let me ask you, you own the Culvers at 56th and Post. And while I know a lot of restaurants have been hurting for the last 10 months or so, dare I say, it looks like your business is busier.
Yeah, I almost feel embarrassed to say it because I know a lot of my restaurant owners in the area are not having as good a time. But we had a record this year by a long shot. So that's the community of Lawrence has just been awesome in supporting us, putting up with some of the longer wait times and all that kind of thing. But everybody's been awesome, and yeah, we've been fortunate. We've had a really good year this year, and we're already up again this year. So, that's another thing that gives me encouragement, because people are still out spending money in the community. And it hasn't been, this thing where everybody has just kind of been, totally locked in their house. I know people want to get out, people want to get back to normal. And I think as soon as we get the all clear, that's a possibility. I really think that the hotel business is going to fall right in line behind it, and people are going to want to travel again. People are going to want to see people that they haven't been able to see for a year. There's going to be, there's such a backlog of conventions downtown that, they keep pushing them off a couple months thinking it's going to go away. So there's an enormous backlog of conventions, and I'm sorry, there's an excavator right outside my window. People pushing off weddings and all this kind of stuff. There's just going to be such a pent up demand for hotel travel that I think once we get the all clear, we're really just going to be off to the races, and it's going to be a really good time in the hospitality industry.
All right. Now, I've taken up a whole lot of time, and usually I open it up to the gallery to see if there's any questions from those in attendance. So I will take this opportunity to open it up for questions. Raise your hand and I'll call on you. Let's go to Trace first.
Hello, everybody. Just a congratulations to Caleb and the team involved in the hotel. I know it's been a long time coming, so and I think I see Aletha on the line too. So congratulations to everybody involved in the project. You got it, man. I know my wife and I are homeowners here at the fort and business owners at the fort, so we're very excited, very supportive of the project for sure. So congratulations. Just a quick mention that I'm working with our local Parks Foundation, and Glen, you're right, that youth sports is a huge economic driver. So let us know how we can be a resource. We're here to help you.
Thank you.
And then lastly, shout out to Caleb for the Chicago Bears sweatshirt. Go Bears.
Oh, other questions from the crowd? Tom Crouch,
Well,
right ahead.
I won't join Trace in congratulating you, Chicago Bears sweatshirt. It's this is Colt country, by the way, but we're both looking for quarterbacks, so that's okay. I don't know where exactly you're located. I stayed at a True in Beaver Creek, Ohio, and it certainly was millennial driven. It was, I think, Wright State teams going to play Wright State University. So where are you exactly in the fort?
So if you are going down 56th Street, there's that large multi-use building that has the Giacomo's Pizza, and there's a few other tenants in there. So we're right behind that building, kind of wedged in between that building and then the Civic Plaza where they had the ice skating rink up there last month.
Oh, okay. Sure. Is the architecture typical? The one in Beaver Creek was, it felt European to me.
So there are certain flashes of color that Hilton wants us to have on the building. We were able to tone down some of the brick colors to try to match some of the other finishes within the fort. I think it's going to blend well with the new apartments that are going up. But it isn't going to be as crazy as some of the first iterations of it, but there will be some pops of color on the outside of the building. But I think it'll fit in real nicely, especially with the building that's directly in front of us on 56th Street. I don't think it'll look out of place when we get it finished.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back. Russ Dodge, you have a question. Oops, you got to unmute yourself.
There we go. Thanks. Quick comment, Caleb. As one who's in advertising and marketing, I pay attention to what companies are doing, and I will compliment Culvers corporately, and I imagine you have some input on that, on the advertising campaigns that have remained aggressive and are family friendly. I think that helps you quite a bit in what you're trying to accomplish. Not just now, but points in the past as well. So I'm not terribly surprised that to hear good things. And certainly my couple trips into the restaurant recently, yeah, it was pretty busy. So good. But my main question is for Glenn, and this deals with the kind of the changing landscape in the world of leisure travel. Now I'll preface it by saying I'm a member of the Marriott program, the Hilton program, the Wyndham program, basically about 4 or 5 of them, because I travel a lot. You know, and a lot of that goes back to my days when I heavily traveled for business. Not so much anymore, but some of the leisure trips that I make are, you know, I spend more money on those than I did when I was traveling for business and was working within a budget. And one of the things that has evolved, and I've watched it, is the aggressive push by the VRBOs, the resort things. And, you know, the example I'll use in the St. Pete Clearwater area, a couple years back, stayed at a 4 bordering on 5-star new Wyndham hotel. It was wonderful. But, you know, I quickly, you know, I found out that I could, for that same kind of money, rent a house with a private pool and have twice as much space as opposed to something that was a nice hotel room, but it was a hotel room. What? How do you compete with that area in the marketing and the subsequent building of hotels?
Yeah, thanks, Russ. I mean, we get that question all the time. My answer is VRBO and Airbnb are very, very, very small competitors, much less than the media makes them out to be. One main reason is holders of the brands that purposely have those cards so they can gain points, so that they can, have nice leisure trips on their own. Most people have a preferable brand, and if you go off to an Airbnb or a VRBO, you're not going to get your points. So we find that people are they're either hotel people or they're not. Are there some people that branch off? Yes. Then the other thing is there are a lot of Airbnb opportunities out there. It's not like they're not out there, but because of COVID, the hotel business was building like crazy. It was actually way overbuilding up to about a year ago. It was out of control. Now, so many things have every time we have these downturns, they slow down a little bit. So that's what's happening. So I think the proportion of size in the hotel world growth versus what's available in Airbnb and VRBO, I think there's enough to satisfy everybody. I'm not personally worried, and I haven't seen any effect on our business.
Okay. Now, do you, in the building of new hotels, do you try and put together a few rooms that are suite oriented that someone might prefer to have as opposed to a single hotel room?
Yeah.
And willing to pay for it too.
Yeah. Most hotels have maybe 2 to 6 suites if they're not already an extended stay type hotel, which
right.
is not. So exactly for the reason you said. And,
okay.
And also, an extended stay hotel is big in our world. That's not what a true is. But, like I said, we have our Homewood Suites. You've heard of Staybridge Suites, Residence Inn. Those are designed for long-term stays. But there's a lot of people, and this is going to happen in Lawrence too. There's a lot of people that need to stay for a long term, but they want to be where they want to be. They're going to want to be in Lawrence. They're not going to want to travel to the other hotels. So those are the type of people that could fit into those types of suites as well. Somebody that's in town for a long-term project or something.
Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. We have time probably for one more question. Any other questions from the gallery? KB Ralph is what I see your name as. You need to unmute yourself.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Glen, hi. I don't know if you remember me, but you gave me this award years ago. I was your wedding girl.
I remember.
Yeah. First of all, I want to just give you guys a word of encouragement. I'm in Castleton. I'm at a Hampton. I've been with Hilton about 6 years now. I've been 3 years at this property. And from a sales perspective, that would be a gold mine for me because of where you're located. Usually hotels have their segments. So yeah, we're buying airports. So we're going to reach out to these airport people. But where you guys have yours, you've got the military. There's a hospital over here. You have the Grand Park. It's just countless places for you to reach out to, and you're going to be busy. I'll tell you that. So congratulations. And True is the perfect brand for that market. It was really had a need for that brand.
Yeah, thanks. So Christy, right?
Yes.
I remember you. Yeah. Thank you. You're right about all that. You would know.
I would know. If you need help, call me.
Okay.
Thanks, Christy. We've got time for 2 more. We'll do Tiffany and then Carol. Tiffany, go right ahead.
Yeah, I think Christy kind of touched on my question just a little bit. I'm a veteran. I'm an old MWR officer, and I was just wondering about your opportunity to partner with the military there on the fort. Thanks.
When you say opportunity, tell me what did you mean by that?
A lot of times when the Guard or the reserves, when they have their drill time, or if they're doing extended exercise.
Oops, Tiffany just lost bandwidth.
Okay, well, I'm not sure where she was going, but I can tell you that when the word partner comes up, we'll partner with anybody that makes any sense. We want to be community driven, whatever it takes. I'm not sure where she was going with that, but whatever it takes.
All right. And then Carol, you had a question.
I did. I own Phoenix Data Corporation. I'm located on the port itself. Hi, Alan. And we have customers, federal customers, military customers, along with that, that come in out of DC and everything. Example being, I've got about 25 people coming in through the base, and I have to stock them someplace. I have to put them in a hotel and a place. Yours isn't built yet, Caleb and Glenn. It's not built yet, but those would be advantageous to us as a business based on the community activities and so forth that we do around the fort. And I have other federal customers that come in different times throughout the year and so forth. I assume that overload will be a capability that you will have for other events, such as the 500, such as the NCAA, things like tournaments like that, and conventions that are in town where they may be overloaded downtown and need to come out just a short distance to be able to come out to the fort. And Caleb, to your thing, I don't know what it is with Culvers. I eat the daggone stuff all the time, unfortunately, and you guys are so busy that the one up by me had to build 3 lanes for it to go through the drive-through. They built a 3-lane hut to go over it, and I see you doing that out here, but I don't know where your room's going to go to do it.
Yeah, I don't quite have the room for that. We're actually in next week, we're launching our mobile ordering platform. So you'll be able to just order off your phone and pull up to the curb, and we'll see you, and we'll just run it right out to you. And that'll probably be the quickest way to get in. So
well, one of the things we do when we have meetings here, and this is the choice of the people here, we give them all the restaurants and stuff, and we try to order. It's always Culvers.
I appreciate it.
I order 10 to 15 people's lunches at least once a week, if not more sometimes, for our meetings and stuff that they have in-house, and they all want Culvers. So we do it that way. But back to the hotel for Glenn and you. I think that it is a necessity for you to build one out here, and that there is somebody that is out here that can be able to house the businesses here that have business individuals coming in and clients coming in and going out, because mine travel all the time. And I either have to put them downtown or I have to put them up north to be able to get a decent place for them to be. Not that there isn't decent places, don't get me wrong, but the fact that it's more convenient and stuff, and the location for restaurants and stuff is here. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for bringing it.
Appreciate it. And I'll say one other thing, just to piggyback on Tiffany's question, and Aletha brought something up again about the military. We actually did on this hotel change our room mix around a little bit. We have a higher percentage of rooms with 2 queen beds in them versus having a single bed on it than what it normally recommends. And that was just because we know in the market we're having a lot of sports teams come in, and then also the National Guard, like that. With having more multiple in it, that we can better partner with not only the military groups but also the sports. And so I think we're prepared for that to happen. And there will be special military rates, of course, for all the Guard people coming in for the weekend, and also people visit DFAT military members as well.
So, all right,
That's good.
We've taken up lots and lots of your time. Glenn, Caleb, thank you both for joining us this week. Everybody who's watching live now or tunes in the future, thank you for joining us. Thanks again to Bose, McKinney, and Evans for sponsoring Chamber Chat from the Greater Lawrence Chamber of Commerce. We appreciate your support. Events coming up. We'll do another Chamber Chat 2 weeks from now. I am desperately trying to get Pat McAfee to come on, just because he's moving all his operations to Lawrence. He lives in Lawrence, and he needs to be here. I think that they've indicated they're joining the chamber, but I want to have him on as a guest. So if anybody has a connection, tell him I'm looking for him. We've got the State of the City that's going to be on March 4th, and we're going to try to do another after hours sometime here towards the end of February. So thank you all for joining us. Everybody have a great week, and we'll see you next time. Take care.